130 Things Graduate School Taught Me About Business is your latest column. You're on your big book tour doing all your fun stuff. Black Hole Focus. I had an opportunity to read it on the plane. I got a little advanced copy. Very excited about this book. And are some of these things in the book too, Isaiah?
Yeah, a lot of the central themes, especially around kind of like purpose and different kind of like tricks and scientific tips for finding and fulfilling your purpose.
And I will say that you have compiled like the best quotes in any book ever as far as business is concerned. One of my favorite things about that book, there are many. You say that a lot of the things we think matter a lot in business, you learned in graduate school, they don't really matter so much for your efficacy in that realm. One of them, you say, inexperience doesn't matter as much as some people think it does.
Absolutely. And it's kind of one of those chicken before the egg. How do you get experience for a job that requires experience before you actually have the job?
Right.
And I think people need to start looking, and that's why I like writing these articles, and we talked about other ones where you can relate things in your everyday life to the jobs that you want. And you probably are getting a lot of the experience right now because a lot of it comes down to interpersonal skills and things like that. So as long as you can learn to do it, just realize that you either had the experience doing something else before, or you can get it pretty rapidly. Don't let it hold you back.
One of the other things you mentioned, you say attendance doesn't matter as much as you think also. If you can get the work done and you can understand what needs to happen, being there all the time should not be, there you go, we'll get this, should not be your priority. Tell us about that.
Right. So I think a lot of people have this idea that just showing up is enough. And this is especially true, in graduate school and still a lot of big businesses too, where you just want to be there. You want to be in the office or in front of your mentor, your teacher, whatever else. And that's like a sign that you're doing the right things. And kind of as a correlate, as long as you look busy, you're working, you're being productive, but it's not true. Your attendance doesn't matter. How busy you look doesn't matter. It's, are you actually executing? Are you working on the right things? Not just working. Working isn't enough. You got to be working on the right things. And that's a tough lesson for a lot of people to learn. But there are some businesses that they're going for this more results-oriented workflow where people can come and go as they please, as long as they get their work done, as long as they execute. And that's the kind of trend that I like to see.
It's interesting you mention that because you say if you think that you have 2 years to write your dissertation, then it's going to take you 2 years. If you think that you have 2 weeks, you might just be able to get it done inside of 2 weeks. I've learned this to be true with my writing projects, to be sure. And in fact, my computer ate my dissertation 2 weeks prior to my needing to defend it before my committee, and I rewrote the entire thing in 2 weeks. So I'm kind of living proof that that's true. But how does this apply to the workplace?
How did I figure that out?
No, how does this apply to the workplace?
Oh, how does this? Yeah. So if you have a project, or usually multiple projects, if you're working in a workplace, you're gonna be juggling a few different things for sure. And so leaving yourself a short amount of time or short deadlines can actually bring out greater work in you. And in most cases, like you just said, you can get an entire project done in a couple of days instead of a few weeks. And you can do it just as effectively. Just like a lot of people, in college or graduate school, they might wait, you have to write a 5-page paper in a couple of weeks. It turns into this big task. But now we know that you can literally write a 5-page paper in maybe a couple of hours, right? So it's all about how much time you give yourself. And so the project itself will swell to the amount of time that you give it. So don't give it too much time.
Some people don't know, when are you in a dead-end job? When should you move on to the next project? You say it's if you find yourself watching the clock. If you're not so into your job that you can't wait to get there, you're lost in your projects all day, and then all of a sudden, oh my goodness, it's whatever time it is, and you need to go do whatever it is you need to do for your evening. That should be the way your workday goes. And if it isn't the way your workday goes, you say, done, over, get out of that job.
Absolutely. And I think you should always be striving to find something in your job. Some people have to stay at a job, or they think they have to stay at it. And if that's the case, then you need to find something in there that really excites you, or you need to start doing something on your own at the same time and find something that you're passionate about, you're interested in. We talked a little bit about purpose at the very beginning, but find something that you connect with, that you connect your identity with, that drives you. And yeah, that's what the goal should be. And I don't care a lot of people say, well, some people need to just sweep floors and do whatever else. No, you should be going after the jobs that really excite you. And if you have a job that doesn't really excite you, you should be looking for another job or planning and preparing and sharpening your skill sets so you can make that transition as soon as possible.
You also lay out for folks the kinds of people they should avoid. Isaac Newton said, I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people. You say, avoid these types. Avoid psychopaths. There's some good advice right there. Avoid creeps. Avoid puppets. Avoid power mongers, wimps. It sounds like we're avoiding 65% of the workforce. Isaiah, how do you know these folks?
Yeah, I think that is right. You should be avoiding about 65% of the people if they are, if you start sensing red flags in them, we're like, okay, these people, they're looking for ways to manipulate you, or they're not standing up for themselves. They tell you one thing, and then when you're around the boss, they say something else. These kind of things, they're not things you should just deal with. It's not part of working or just putting up with it. You actually need to take a stand and be like, okay, these kind of people don't belong in my life. I'm going to go find the other people out there that think like I do, that mean what they say, that aren't just after power but have a larger purpose, that aren't wimps but say what's on their mind to me, and when we're in front of our boss, so they say the same thing. And people that aren't like creepy and weird, or people that don't act like psychopaths and just go crazy for no different reason.
Yeah, my grandpa used to say, don't let the bastards bug you. And I thought that was such great information. And somebody was bugging my daughter last week, and this nice man comes up and he says, 25% of people that meet you statistically won't like you. Don't worry about it. Think about the 75% of those who do. And that's essentially what you're talking about. Creating, sort of from a social constructionist perspective, creating a workplace that you can enjoy, that you're motivated to go to, that you're not going to be whining about and complaining about, and that is going to make your life more fulfilled. That's what this is all about. And that's what your book, Black Hole Focus, is about as well. We're almost out of time, but I want to give you a chance to comment.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I've heard that quote before, 25% of people won't like you. Half might be convinced to like you, and the other 25% will just like you exactly the way you are, and those are the people that you should stay around. And if you surround yourself with those kind of people, the people that are like-minded into what you want to do, that's going to lead you to a much more fulfilling life than trying to please everyone.
Absolutely. Dr. Isaiah Hankel, the book is Black Hole Focus. Make sure and order your copy. Thanks for being with us, Dr. Hankel.